Hey, Sterling.
Good afternoon to everyone. We're delighted to have you here today for this event. It's, we really haven't had kind of like a free timers event in quite some time. And so it is good to gather today and to be with one another and also to learn a little about history of Connecticut and the fun that has been had in Connecticut. I think most of you know John Tinkham, and he loves to research all this stuff. So I'll let him at it.
All right. Thanks for coming, first of all. That's really good. Yeah, it's all right. My presentations, I just look at pictures, and I see pictures, and I get curious what they're about, and I look it up and research them, and I put these little talks together that I do. The talk I'm giving today, I did at the Cromwell Historical Society a little while ago, and it was a good interaction with the audience that came that night. But basically, it's just about leisure time in Connecticut. Next, please. Bree's up there helping me out. You can keep going, keep going. All right, everyone in Newington knows this place, right? Knows this picture. These first couple of slides are just a little warm-up to get us going here. That's in the early 1960s. It's obviously a Mill Pond Park in the early 1960s. You notice there's no basketball courts or tennis courts, there's no parking lot yet, a lot of trees. Same bathhouse. But when I was a kid, anybody who grew up in Newington, the fun thing, the rite of passage is going off that high dive. They don't have that anymore. Also, you can see we have one lifeguard on duty for the diving board. That's about it around. Now we have one at every intersection, whatever. But there's two other places close to Newington that a lot of people from Newington went swimming at. So let's see if you can identify these. The next is kind of blurry, but see what you got. Go ahead, next please. Where's that? It's in New Britain. Go to the next one, please. Yeah, I'll tell you, it's the same place. I'm giving it away right now. That should show you where it is. Where? Yeah, where's that? Walnut Hill Park in New Britain, all right? That's Walnut Hill Park. That's not there anymore. That used to be a swimming pool, a swimming area, waiting pool for kids. In the 1960s, they put cement there because too many people left garbage in there. And so they had to put cement over it, and it's no longer a pool. Okay, you go to the next one, please. That else is very close to Newington. Battersea, no, but good guess. No, it's not Newington. It's New Britain. It's in New Britain. No. It's next to where the baseball fields are. That's Willowbrook Park. Willowbrook Park in New Britain used to be a big place for people from Newington to go to swim also. Again, these are just warm-up things. Not a lot of these. Do you go to the next one, please? We all know this place, right? That is the Children's Museum in West Harbor on Trout Brook. Getting there. It opened in 1927, the oldest continuous children's museum in the United States. Had the second largest planetarium. Your answer is, what's the name of the whale? Connie, very good. Connie is the emblem. You can go to the next one, please. That's what it used to look like inside. If you ever took your kids there, your grandkids, you went there yourself. You go to the next one, and that's what it looks like today. They moved it to downtown. All right, we talked about the next one in the talks here before. Religious people were very upset by these places, right? They wanted them all closed. There were 4,000 of them in 1962 in America, and now there's less than 150. What are we talking about? Drive-ins, go ahead. Yep, go to the next, please. That's the Hartford Drive-In. I'm glad some Newington people are here to help me out, because this is driving me crazy. I have a question for you. This picture's from 1980. Wednesdays is in there already. You know, we have McDonald's down here. We had Mr. Donut. This place right here, what is that place? Driving me crazy. It's an auto shop, right? Like a junk dealer?
Yeah, and the guy was connected to the mob.
What's it? Palomino. Palomino. There you go. That's it right there. Boom. All right. So, where was the largest drive-in movie theater in all Connecticut?
The Meadows.
The Meadows, very good. You go to the next one. Dave went to my talking Cromwell. That's what I like to have here. The Meadows Drive-In, the north end of Hartford, right? The North Meadows. They used to have boxing matches there and concerts to get people in. It was 32 acres, 6 concession stands, and they had this revolutionary thing, the first in Connecticut to use them, that allowed them to be open year-round. You can go to the next one. Those are the big heaters. Remember those things you put in a window, like break your window? They look like they put you in a shock on your heart right now, don't they? That's what they remind me of. Like the TV movies I watch. With the Meadows was able to do that. Now that was open from 1955 to 1975. In 1976, another entertainment venue took its place. What was that? Not the Meadows. Highlight. Yep, go to the next one, Bria. Highlight. You go to the next one. So that's the Hartford Highlight. First year, it had over 1 million customers. They bet over $70 million. It closed in 1996 because of a scandal in Bridgeport, Milford, and down in Florida. So when it closed, there was only one place left in the state of Connecticut you could gamble on sports legally. Where was that? Newington? Newington? Well, they did want to put a racetrack in or something, didn't they, in Newington? Dog track. Go ahead, you go to the next one, because that's the answer. Dog track, but not in Newington. The Plainville Greyhound. You go to the next one. Go to the next one. And that's the Greyhounds racing. They closed in 2006. Intense lobbying to the state legislature wanting them closed. Who wanted them closed? The casinos wanted them closed, and so they're closed. All right, now we get into the crux of entertainment in Connecticut. Tell me this, it's the early 1900s, I'm in New Haven, and I want to go to a show. Where am I going? The Schubert. You go to the next one. The Schubert opens in 1914. The first show, The Belle of Bond Street. Comedian Sam Bernard is the star. Over the years, you can go to the next one. So many different people are going to make their debuts and they're going to act here. Jimmy Stewart, Katharine Hepburn, Spencer Tracy, Clark Gable. The list goes on and on. Some of the shows that went from the Schubert that won Tony Awards on Broadway. Carousel, The King and I, South Pacific, Sound of Music. You can keep going. That's what the theater looks like on the inside if you've never been there. I went there, I think, for the first time, what, a year and a half ago, we went and saw Hadestown there, right? You can go to the next one. This guy made his acting debut there in 1947. Who is that? That is Marlon Brando, our favorite Godfather. In A Streetcar Named Desire, got his start right here in Connecticut. You go to the next one. They just put this mural on the building. We got Katharine Hepburn, Duke Ellington, Louis Armstrong. This is 6, Cats. And Away We Go. Anybody see Away We Go? Nobody saw it, Away We Go? You might not know it, yes, known as Oklahoma. They renamed it Oklahoma. It came out as Away We Go. After 3 years, when it went to Broadway, they changed it to Oklahoma. All right, you can go to the next one, please. Now what theater are we at? That is the Oakdale Theater. The Oakdale's going to open under this big tent in the middle of Alfalfa Field in Wallingford in 1954. Unfortunately, 1954 saw Hurricane Carol and Hurricane Edna. Destroyed their tent. You can go to the next one. So the owner, Ben Siegel, is going to get the Oakdale Tavern and the other buildings around. You go to the next one. And he's going to make a theater, remember, in the round? It's kind of freaky watching the shows here. They're in front of you, then they're behind you. We went to a lot of early country music things here in the 90s, whatever. Peggy Fleming had her ice capades here, and there used to be boxing matches there. But I'm just going to show you a couple of the playbills to see who played there. You can go to the next one, please. Every theater in Connecticut this guy played at. Liberace. Anybody ever see him in person? You did? You did. He's in everywhere. Did you see him in Oakdale? Oh, good for you. Saw him in Oakdale. He's everywhere. Joan Baez. Now the next one's a little fuzzy. You can go ahead, Bria. Couple there. Liberace again. Tom Jones. But look at it. Led Zeppelin. Stairway to Heaven. Led Zeppelin played the Oakdale Theater 7 times. In the rock group Chicago, the same thing. Those are first-rate classic rock right there. So the Oakdale had a lot of things going in the 70s before it switches over to a lot of country acts. All right, you keep going, Bria. That's what it looks like today, the Toyota Oakdale Theater. If you didn't know, Newington High School holds their graduation here every year. Yeah, that holds about 5,000 people. In the round held about 3,200. All right, you can go ahead. Now where are we at? Where? All right, it's the Goodspeed. Very good, the Goodspeed. The Goodspeed Opera House. You can go to the next one, please. We don't know the building, right? You can go to the next one. William Goodspeed. He's an entrepreneur. He's a businessman on the Connecticut River. You can go to the next one, please. He owns a lot of boats. He brings all his produce, all his goods up the river. He unloads them in his bays right down here. He goes up to the top. You go to the next one, please. In the late 1800s, it was a general store. So he had the horse and wagons. That's the Goodspeed Opera House as we know it today. He used to unload from the river, go up to the top, send it out to the general store. In 1877, Goodspeed says, you know what? We should have a musical theater here in the top 2 floors. So he opens it. The first show is Charles II. Very tricky because they have to bring everything, all the props up with ropes and pulleys. No elevators, and it's on the top floors. They have to unload from the river. But something happens. And 5 years later, in 1882, Goodspeed dies. And the theater is going to go into disrepair. You can go to the next one. By 1920, it's nothing except one thing. It's a storage facility for the Connecticut Department of Transportation, snow plows, and dump trucks. That's it. You can go to the next one. Then in the 1940s, they're going to start it up again as a general store. Finally, in 1959, they're going to decide, you know what? The Goodspeed Opera House Association's formed. They're going to open the theater back up, which they do in 1962. You go to the next one. And some of the shows from the Goodspeed that go on to get Tony Awards on Broadway, Man of La Mancha, Shenandoah, and every kid's favorite, Annie, right? This is summer stock, just 2 years ago, I think it was, that Millie and I went to. I love the theater people because the way he looks like he's not even trying right there. He's jumped up in the air, he's perfect straight. But look at all these people, they're all leaning and their focal points all looking at the very same thing. Their eyes are open, they're all looking. I think that's just great you can do that. So any of you who were in the theater, you know, I'm jealous because I think that's really fantastic they can do that. All right, you can go to the next one. So now where are we at? That's the Bushnell. Dother Bushnell Hilliard. In the early 1920s, she wants to build a memorial to her father, a long-term minister, Horace Bushnell, the park's named after. She raises $800,000, but that's not enough. She wants more. She puts it in the stock market, very volatile in the 1920s. In 1928, she has $3 million. She says, now I have enough. She's going to hire the firm that did Radio City Music Hall in New York City, and she's going to have them build this. They lay the cornerstone in 1928. Good thing, because 1929 the stock market crashes and the Depression starts. In the cornerstone, they're going to put the Hartford Courant, the Hartford Times, a copy of the Constitution, some money, and some of Bushnell's favorite writings. The auditorium's going to hold 2,500 people. William Morrison's going to be the managing director for like 41 years. He's also going to be mayor of Hartford for a little bit. You can go to the next one. And that's why it's called the Mortenson Auditorium today. If you've never been, that's the inside of the Bushnell. Beautiful place to watch shows. Newington, I used to graduate there long ago, there in Central, right back in the day. I think last time we were there, we saw 6 on New Year's Eve, which was kind of fun. Did you like feminine empowerment? All right, you can go to the next one. Oh, scenes from the trail. What trail we on? Don't say, Dave. Let them think for a minute. They'll figure it out. Go to the next one, Bria. Give you a big hint. Now I should give it away. No guesses yet? Oh. Keep going. Gillette's Castle, very good. Finally, we got Gillette's Castle. Go to the next one. That's Gillette's Castle, right? Very big tourist place. You go ahead to the next one. That is William Gillette. He's going to be born in Hartford, 1853. Nook Farm section. That's where Mark Twain and Harry Beecher Stowe hung out. He's going to be an accomplished stage performer. In 1882, he's going to marry Helen Nichols. She dies 6 years later in 1888 of a ruptured appendicitis. Something very common and easy to fix today. On her deathbed, he makes her a vow. He's never going to marry, and he's never going to have children. It's a vow he keeps until his own death in 1937. He has this fascination with Sherlock Holmes. So he writes to Sir Arthur Conan Doyle and says, "Can I put Holmes on stage in America?" He says, "Yes." You can go to the next one. And he's going to perform over the next 33 years. He's going to appear as Holmes over 1,300 times. If you've seen any of the Basil Rathbone and Nigel Bruce Sherlock Holmes movies from the 30s and 40s, he is the one who makes Holmes' appearance the way it is in the movies. He's go to the next one, please. He's going to come up with the Deerslayer cap, the Inverness cape. He's got that magnifying glass. That phrase, "Elementary, my dear fellow," which morphs into "Elementary, my dear Watson." And he's going to have that big curved pipe, right? So why do you think he uses a curved pipe? Because if you read any of the Sherlock Holmes stories, it's one of those long, flat pipes. He switches it for a reason. Nobody knew this reason, but they thought it just looks so good for Holmes. But he did it because if you use a straight pipe, it blocks the view of the face of the actor. The long curved pipe goes down here, and then you can see him act. So he's very strict about that. All right, you can go to the next one. So in 1914, he's going to hire 20 engineers to build him a castle, a retirement home, a replica of a medieval castle. They're going to get all the fieldstone from the surrounding area. So Hadleim, where it is, the residents call it Hadleim's heap of rocks. He's going to have the strong love of cats. He's going to own 17 cats at a time. There's 97 cat-themed things in the castle, but this table here is his famous cat table. There's all kind of mandarins in there cats like to play on. He can sit in a chair there and watch his cats play. His bedroom was on the second floor. He had 3 mirrors strategically placed so he could keep an eye on his liquor cabinet downstairs to make sure the guests weren't helping themselves when he was asleep. All right, you can go to the next one. In 1927, he has a love of trains. He's going to build a 3-mile-long train track. You go to the next one. There's Gillette there with this famous miniature train, 3-mile-long track to his property. You go ahead. So it's going to start at what he calls his Grand Central Station. If you've never been to Gillette's Castle, it's a nice view of the Connecticut River below there. All right, you go to the next one. Then he's going to go through his tunnel. You go to the next one. That's what the inside of the tunnel looks like today. It's Gillette. He's going to pass away in 1937. In 1943, his nephew is going to sell Gillette's Castle to the state of Connecticut for $30,000. They have operated it ever since. All right, you can go to the next one. Where are we now? The Peabody Museum, right? All right, we got to go way back in time for this one. In 1802, a man by the name of Benjamin Silliman, he comes to Yale, and he wants to be a professor of chemistry and natural history. And he's going to amass this great rock collection. Doesn't sound that exciting, but before there was computers, books, TVs, anything, to have a rock collection, people came from all over the world to see the different specimens he had. You go to the next one. This is like one of his most famous rocks. Anybody know what kind of mineral that is? All you geologists out there? What do you think it is? Granite? It's actually, Dave remembers. What is it, Dave? Do you remember? It's a meteorite. So imagine no books, no TV, nothing, and you hear somebody has a piece of a meteorite falling from the sky. People went from all over to see that. You go to the next one. This man, O.C. Marsh, falls in love with the rock collection. Decides he's going to go to Yale. When he graduates Yale, he decides, I want to start a natural history museum. But you know what? I don't have any money. So you go to the next one. He asks his philanthropic uncle who put him through college, George Peabody, can I use your money to make my dream come through? He says, yes. You go to the next one. He starts going around the world, Marsh does, and collects all these skeletons of animals all over the place. The museum's going to open in 1866, the year after the Civil War ended. And it's going to stay like that. That's the original Peabody there. He's going to become the first professor of paleontology in America, the second in the world, the first in America. But in 1917, because he got so much stuff, the building collapsed. A lot of things were destroyed and ruined. You go to the next one. So they had to rebuild it to the newer version we know today, the Peabody. It's going to reopen again in 1925. Think of transitions in American history. I love this picture for this reason. We have a truck over here, and we have the horse and wagon over here. We're going from the horse age to the truck to the modern age, whatever. Building this new giant building. All right, in 1931, you go to the next one. 1931, we're going to put the brontosaurus in there we all know and love. You go to the next one. 1947, that's going to be our reptiles. And the Peabody just had a big redo about 4 years ago. I have not been to the reopened one yet, but we'll get there one of these days. Right? What? It's not open? What? Is it? Yeah, I've heard all good things about it. When our kids were little, I used to go there all the time with them. They used to love running around there. Is it really? How can you beat that? You can't. All right, you go to the next one. Now where are we at? That is the Wadsworth Athenaeum. It opens in the home of Daniel Wadsworth in Hartford, 1844. So here's your big history questions. I'm a history teacher. I like to ask you some history questions. Who ran for president of the United States and became president in 1844 with the slogan, 54-40 or fight? Phone a friend. Who? Polk, James K. Polk, right there, this guy. Here we go. So James K. Polk, that's how far this goes back. Now, Wadsworth's father, he was the quartermaster for the Continental Army in the Revolution. He was charged with getting them food, supplies, things like that. They're going to use his money in his collection to start this Wadsworth Athenaeum. Why is it called an Athenaeum? Why is it a history museum? What is an Athenaeum? An Athenaeum is a combination of culture and learning. So both the Hartford Public Library and the Connecticut Historical Society, they're going to start up in this building and they're going to be here for years before they go off on their own. So it's a combination of culture and learning. So they're going to get some money along the way in the late 1800s from the widow of Samuel Colt. You'd keep going. And then J.P. Morgan's going to come along and he's going to give money, and he wants a whole wing after himself, of course, the Morgan wing. You go to the next one. They're building it there, as you see, in 1912. They're building the Morgan wing. You go to the next one. And that's the Wadsworth as we know today. You go to the next one. If you've never been inside, that's what it looks like. It's a great art museum. It's not an art museum, it's an Athenaeum, but you go there, good place to see things. Now, for all those of you who've been there, there's a statue outside of the Athenaeum of a man. Who's the man? All the times you've been to the Wadsworth Athenaeum, you've gone by this guy. Sold DeWitt? DeWitt?
Yes, is that it?
No.
No.
No? No. You've all seen this statue in your life. Have you been to the Wadsworth Athenaeum? Have you been to the Wadsworth? You don't remember who the statue of the man is? Come on. It's a great historical figure in our lives. Think of Connecticut history and a male. Who are we known for in our history that they memorialize all over the place? Nathan Hale, very good. Way to go. Excellent. You go to the next one. Nathan Hale, right there. Come on, we got to know our Connecticut history a little bit. Oh yeah. It's all, and that's, you know, that's the newer stuff. You know. All right, you go to the next one, Bria. Oh, anybody know where that is? It's in Hartford. No, that's East Hartford. This is where Pratt and Colt Firearm used to be over there off New Park Avenue. Talcott Street. Pratt and Whitney used to be in there. Colt used to be in there. It's right off of New Park Avenue, Talcott Street. You go to the next one. It looks like this today. BJ's is there. Home Depot's there. All right, you got the gist of the area? All right, this is what it looked like in 1874. You go ahead to the next one. That's a picture of that same slide in 1874. What are we looking at?
Racetrack.
A racetrack of what? What are we racing? Horses. All right, go to the next one. Charter Oak Park. Big racetrack for the trotters. People in Connecticut or all over the United States, probably the world, before there was TV and all this, people love to gamble, and they love to gamble on horse racing and boxing. Two big things you love to gamble on. And back then, this was the big gambling. You go to the next one. Charter Oak Park. Notice, gentlemen have to pay $1, ladies only 50 cents to get in. You women are all spoiled back then even. No, not at all. All right, you go to the next one. That's what it looked like. So again, it sat 4,000, another 2,000 could stand. And they sat there in the days and they watched the trotters. You go to the next one. That's a camera across the finish line. That's from 1889, I think, yeah. Now in 1897, they actually recorded the first movie of a horse race in America. It was done by the Edison Manufacturing Company. They did it at this track. So one other thing that happened back in the day here in our history was before TV and all that, when presidents were running for presidential election years, they would do these stump speeches. They would go together of all the candidates. Now we have debates now, but they would go wherever there was a crowd, and they would come to watch and talk to the people. So in 1912, 3 of the 4 presidential candidates came to Charter Oak Park to talk to the crowd. They were running for president. So tell me, 1912 was running for president. 3 people. Who? Woodrow Wilson was a Democrat. Very good. Keep going. Excellent. Teddy Roosevelt, the Bull Moose Party, independent. William Howard Taft. Now ask you a tough one. This guy didn't come. Who was the socialist? You know? Do you remember who the socialist was? You got all 4 of them. Way to go. That's excellent. Like people know their history. You go to the next one, Bria. So we got Woodrow Wilson, a Democrat, the Bull Moose Party, independent, the Republican, and the Socialist Party. They all came to Charter Oak Park in 1912 to talk about the election. All right, we have one more picture here. It's really blurry, but there's a reason for it. You can go to the next one. So the park here, you see there's a racetrack. It also used to be for track events, and they put a football field in there eventually in the early 1900s. But I want you to notice all these tents in the background. All right, you go to the next one. And that's a place called Luna Park. You can go to the next one. There is lit up at night. You go to the next one. And go to one more. And this is Luna Park. In 1906, Charter Oak Park gave Luna Park 12 acres to build a big park next door to the racetrack. This is going to be one of Connecticut's first what's called trolley parks. Late 1800s, early 1900s, trolley cars were all over the Hartford area. They were right through Newington Center here, right? To the green. They transported people during the week. It was great. People got to work back and forth. But on Sundays or the weekends, people went to church, people didn't travel as much, and the trolleys weren't making any money. So the trolley people hooked up, went in cahoots with the entertainment people and said, if you build an entertainment venue, we'll build a trolley to go there. And that was the case with Luna Park. It's over back where the busway goes by there today. But anyway, they're going to open, and they're going to do something very revolutionary in Connecticut. They're going to open on Sundays. And back in 1906, that wasn't a good thing. Blue laws, people were supposed to be in church. Actually, if you opened a business, if it wasn't church-related or life-threatening statement like a hospital, you were fined $50. Luna Park is willing to pay the $50 fine. Why? They were averaging 5,000 people a Sunday going to their park on the trolley. More than made up for the fine. So some people were not happy with them opening on Sunday. So you can only imagine who these people look like or are. But the Good Citizenship League of West Hartford, they sent spies into Luna Park with their notebooks. And they recorded every time they heard somebody's cuss or swear, anytime they had a drink, or anytime they gambled on a horse race across the way on a Sunday. So they were getting a very seedy reputation. So to help themselves out, they decided to do some charity benefits for Hartford Hospital. So they charged kids 25 cents to roller skate, adults $1 to dance. Then they had these races. When the men raced, they raced around the circle on an obstacle course, and they had to change from one outfit to another, complete change everything, underwear and everything, make it real challenging while they're driving. You could do that the fastest. The women, they went to an obstacle course, and in the obstacle course, there were flowers hidden. They would jump out and grab a flower, and the first one to get back to the finish line and make a bouquet won the women's race. And they would give all that money to Hartford Hospital. So that was a nice thing. Well, you can see a lot of people went there. You can go to the next one. First Ferris wheel in Connecticut, 1913 there. You go to the next one. And then also, during 2 weeks in September, Luna Park and Charter Oak Park, they hosted the Connecticut Agricultural Fair. They averaged like 75,000 people the first day of the fair. This is just like the biggie. This obviously is around the World War I. It's Food for France Fund, get food money. That lady looks very mean, so I would buy preserves from her. Preserves for sale, and it's just like they do now. So this is like a big fair and a big park, an amusement park. It's going to close in 1931, the same with Charter Oak Park, because automobiles were becoming more prevalent. You didn't have to depend on the trolleys anymore. You could go other places. You go to the next one. So when everything closed and went out, the busway, the railway stays there for the trolleys were, but the buildings now is all empty. But horse racing, again, is a thing to gamble on. So go to the next one. So we're going to gamble in Windsor also. This is not Sage Park in Berlin, this is Sage Park in Windsor. And this is financed and built by Louise Sage of Sage Allen fame, the department store. You can go to the next one. She would have 6 races a day for $1,000 purse total. You can see the cars all packed in there. Then the next one, you go to the next slide. I love this slide. There's like no fence or protection, just run around the track here, get really close. And again, why do people go to this? Not to watch the racing, they went to gamble. Horse racing, boxing, the 2 big outlets for gambling back in the late 1800s, early 1900s. Good things to do. All right, you can go to the next one, Bria. Now where are we at? Lake compounds. Woo. All right. Lake Compound's the oldest continually operating amusement park in all the United States. It opened back in 1846. Who were we at war with in 1846? Mexico. Got my history guy. Heck, Mexico, right? So a guy by the name of Gad Norton, not Morton, Norton, Gad Norton. He has himself a beach, a lake, and a few picnic tables. He says, now all I need is people. So again, it's before the TV and all. He's going to hire scientists to come and do scientific experiments, thinking people will come to watch the experiments. And they did. Why? Because most of the experiments involve blowing things up out on the lake. And people like that. So attendance is going to steadily grow and grow and grow through the 1800s. You go to the next one. Then it's going to become a trolley park. right? Look at all the trolley cars and tracks in the distance of all these people going to lake compounds on the weekends. Now again, I've told this story in church, but a few weeks ago we had Children's Day. It used to be in like the first 15 years of the 1900s, this church on Children's Day, after the church part ended, will go walk across the street to the green, they get a trolley, they take it right to lake compounds and have their church picnic or church get-together end of the year. So, lake compounds is a big thing. You go to the next one. They got this bandstand. I have no idea how they got up in the bandstand. I keep looking and saying, I see a ladder, I don't see anything, stairs, but they get there somehow. You go to the next one. There's a baby show. There's people up there in the bandstand. Again, I don't know how to get up there. Yeah, it's called a baby show. I don't know what you do at a baby show. I don't know. I guess. I don't have an idea. Goes up now. You go to the next one. This is the first roller coaster. 1917, the Green Dragon. And then they found from like 1905 to 1930, they had one thing that attracted more people than anything else to lake compounds. I thought when I researched this, it was the only place in the area, but I was wrong. What do you think they had that was so special that attracted all these people to go to lake compounds? 1905 to 1930. Ice cream cones? Nope. Good guess, though. I'm sure it was. Cotton candy? No. No, oh, there's a train there, but not the train. Oh, no, not a can-can dance. Woo-hoo. You go to the next one, Bria. Horse diving. You can't see it, it says it right here, horse diving at lake compounds. Yeah, they used to go up the ramp, and they used to dive into the water. Now again, I didn't know about that. I thought that must be the only place. Go to the next slide. Go back to Luna Park in 1920. That's diving into a pool, and they're on the back of the horse. So, things with animals around this time again involve gambling. I told you before, they used to tie animals to rafts and send them over Niagara Falls, and they used to gamble on which animals would survive. A cow, a mouse, a rooster, a horse. Yeah, that's what they did for entertainment. Yeah, cockroach would survive probably, yeah. All right, you can go to the next one. So we're going to get into the wildcat years. Keep going. You drive by the wildcat. Kind of fun. All right, so now we got boats. Anybody ever go in the boats on lake compounds? Remember doing that? Yep. You go to the next one. Look where the train ended up from Gillette's Castle. The Gillette Railroad comes to lake compounds, and people are lined up to get on that thing to take a ride around the park. You go to the next one. So we're going chugging around the pond. Good stuff. All right, you go to the next one. There's a lot of people there. But these pictures are kind of blurry compared to where they're at in my other place, on the church's thing. Keep going. That is the famous what? Balderdash. Attendance was good up to the 1950s. Then like Disneyland opened, Disney World, Riverside Park opens, all these amusement park opens everywhere else. And people aren't going there anymore. So by 1990, it's only open on Labor Day weekend. That's it for 3 years in a row. So they keep their streak alive. In 1997, they're going to borrow $18 million from the state. They make 20 new rides. One of them, Balderdash, becomes voted the best wooden roller coaster in America in 2002. What's it known for today? Keep going. All its water parks. Anybody know this building over here in the background? I'm asking you because I have no idea, but I was showing this in Cromwell and I said, what is that building? Somebody told me it was Otis Elevators testing. That's what they told me. I have no idea confirmation on that, but that's what I was told. I'm looking at it going, what is it? I could care less about the water park. What is that building back there? Kind of cool. All right, so that's just your lake compounds. You keep going. There's our next big park. Huh? That is the Park River. It's definitely the Park River. Yeah. This is going to become Bushnell Park of all places. All these tenements, they don't have indoor plumbing. They just use a pot and they dump it all into the sewer here, into the river. Polk Bicycle was there and other manufacturers. There was an open sewer You go to the next one. Then in 1854, this guy, Horace Bushnell, he wants to clean it all up and make a park. Why? Because he thinks that to be closer to God, you have to be closer to nature first. So he gets other people to get together and they come up and form Bushnell Park. You can go to the next one. He's going to use 147 different types of fauna from Europe and Far East, North America. Keep going. Looks like that. Keep going. I love this picture. Keep going. So this one here. So this is from, where does it say? 1905. See how it says stepping stones here? This is what I want to know about. Can you walk across that? It looks like there's water going through there. I was wondering if you could just walk across that. That'd be fun to do, whatever. I don't know. We see the three things we're going to talk about is the Capitol, the cushion fountain here in the front, and the Soldiers of Salem Memorial. We're going to talk about all three things there. There you go to the next one. So the Capitol. In 1873, Connecticut decides we only need one capital. What were our two capitals? Hartford and where else? New Haven, right? So now we're not going to have Hartford. So in 1876, they're going to have Richard Upjohn. He did the Trinity Church down there next to Wall Street, New York. He's going to come and design the Capitol. They wanted to do it for $1 million. Halfway through, the Gold Dome collapses in, so it ends up costing $3 million to build our Capitol. It's going to open for business in 1878. What catches your fancy about that picture? What do you wonder about?
Connecticut flag has
Correct. Why is it half staff? I want to know. I don't know the answer. But the American flag, the country flag is at full staff. So this is related to something in Connecticut. I see. Could it be a governor? You know, Sandy Hook was in December. I don't know if there was any snow on the ground. I have no idea where that picture's from. I don't know what the things. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what year it's from.
It's at the bottom of the flagpole right there. Is there somebody standing there? Is that? No.
So I don't know. Well, you go to the next one, but that's just a mystery of mine. All right, the Soldiers of Salem Memorial Arch. That's built by George Kell. His body is in, his remains and his wife's are interred in there. And this is a memorial dedicated to the 4,000 Hartford people that fought in the Civil War, and over 400 Hartford people that died in the Civil War. We'll see a close-up in a minute, but this whole top part is all Civil War scenes, and these people on the side are people that fought in the Civil War. I love that, the trolley going through. You can go to the next one. So again, that's what I said, the Civil War across the top. This memorial is going to be dedicated on September the 17th, 1886. And it's a significant date because September 17th, 1862 was the bloodiest day in American history, 23,000 casualties at the Battle of Antietam in the Civil War. Put that in perspective, 9/11, there was under 3,000 casualties. On this day in Antietam, there were 23,000. All right, you keep going. That's a close-up of one person on the sides. He's a carpenter. He's got his tools with him. He's also got his sword ready to go off to fight for the Union. In 1987, they're going to add an escaped slave on there, freed slave, because 140 African-American ex-slaves fought from Hartford in the Civil War, so they wanted to add them to the memorial. Keep going. So when it's all done, it looks like that. Again, that looks nice and pretty there, 1906. But so, as Ken mentioned before, the Park River still flows through Hartford. It's in two big steel conduits underground. It still flows out to the Connecticut River. And the reason they did that was for this. You can go to the next one. That's the 1936 flood. It just floods out Bushnell Park almost completely. And you go to the next one. That's the 38 hurricane. And the Capitol is up on a hill, so that's safe, but everything else is kind of underwater. So you're going to put that underneath ground there in the 40s, and for flood control purposes. Yeah. And they're going to build the big dike where 91 is also. Yeah. And the building in the background. Yeah. That's right. You keep going. All right, the last one is the Cushing Fountain. John Cushing in 1889 wanted to build a memorial to his father, who was the minister of the Pearl Street Congregational Church. He wants it located right where people are going to walk from the train station to the Capitol building. And it's got a lot of history to it. The very top is the stag, Hereford, England. That's their emblem, whatever. Hartford's named after. We have that at our insurance company, right? Then we have flax of wheat here with the women, whatever. They're going to agricultural center. And then the bottom, there's 4 statues. You can't see the 4th because it's behind, that are commemorating the Saukiyok Indians. They were the Indians living in Hartford when European settlers arrived. And they tell a story. The first one is the innocence of youth, spearfishing in the Park River. The chief looking at all the invaders coming from Europe. We're going to fight for our land, so they got the battle axe out to fight to preserve it. And the opposite side you can't see is the smoking of the peace pipe. We're going to live together. And that's pretty much the history of Bushnell Park. All right, Bree, you keep going. Oh, another park. Always forget on these things. Anybody ever been to that park? You go to the next one. Those 2 people are responsible for the park. Cole Park? Nope, good guess though. That is a good guess, huh? It's Elizabeth Park, very good. This guy right here on the right is named Charles Pond. He's born in Hartford 1837. He's going to be the treasurer of the Hartford-New Haven Railroad. He's also going to be treasurer of the state of Connecticut in the 1870s. His dad's going to cede him 33 acres of land in the west end of Hartford, basically where Elizabeth Park is today. And in 1872, or 1870 actually, he's going to marry Sarah Elizabeth Aldrich. They're going to settle on that land in the west end of Hartford. It looks like this. You keep going. Keep going. That's what Elizabeth Park looked like in the 1880s. It was a big farm. They had sheep, they had cattle, they grew tobacco, corn, and other things while he held on his job as treasurer. Sarah liked to do gardening and make gardens. At the end of the day, he would come home, and we decided the workday was over for the people working on the farm. He would blow a shotgun off on his back porch as they shift us over. He liked to do that. He also loved the trotters and the horses. So we built a little track right in the middle of Elizabeth Park, and they'd come there on Saturdays and Sundays and race their horses again in front of him. What's going to happen? In 1891, Sarah's going to pass away. He wants to build a memorial to her. He's going to pass away in 1894, and he's going to leave the city of Hartford 99 acres of land which he now owns and $200,000 to make this memorial to his wife. You keep going. The park's going to open in 1897. One of the first things they do is, the rose things, archways to walk through. By 1906, we're going to have a gridiron football field there. 1908, we got baseball. Keep going. 1914, thousands came to skate on the pond. They had a skating rink there. They also had a curling pond and a curling hut. They set up tennis courts. So it was a real happening place. They also set up one other thing in Elizabeth Park. That was a sport that was taking America by storm. Go ahead to the next one. Good old croquet. These these widgets, they look so big to me. When I played, it looked like they're little things, hard to get. It looks like anybody can get through that thing. Croquet's the greatest game because if you're playing with your kids, whatever, you can send them away and poison them, make them go, and they can cry and everything else. It's a lot of fun. Then in 1926, they're going to become a national stop on another thing in America. Keep going. And that's lawn bowling. They still do lawn bowling in Elizabeth Park today. There's a club that still does their thing there. Lawn bowling similar to bocce. But that was another staple that everybody knew Elizabeth Park for. All right, keep going. So there's the famous pond house where they lived that they dedicated to Elizabeth Park. As you can see, Charles Park, $200,000 to make the park in his wife's honor. All right, you keep going, see a couple pictures of the park. It's June now. Shouldn't the roses be in bloom now? Right now, right? I haven't been there this year yet. Keep going. I like tulips better than roses. So I put this picture and I like tulips. No, there's tulips. I like the tulips. I like the multicolored tulips in the middle. All right, keep going. Now where are we at? The prison, which one? The fun one, yeah. That's Newgate Prison up in Granby. You keep going. That's where it is today. Keep going. That's the main gate. This prison opened in 1707. It was a copper mine. You keep going. If you go there today, you can take stairs right here down into the mine. It's kind of fun. But up until a few years ago, whatever, you used to have to climb down a ladder in a shaft. You go to the next one. That's how the prisoners got there. They put you down the ladder. They locked that at night. The prisoners weren't put in any cells. They were just kept in the tunnels. And they had a choice. If they wanted to, they could be in a cell above ground, but they chose below ground because they had no shackles and no confinement. They could go from place to place and socialize. You can go to the next one. How many of you have been down in the mines there? Yeah? See, that's a fun place. Another great place to scare your kids. So you got the things they're hanging, there's water dripping, the floor is all uneven, it's dark in these places. I'm my daughter Kelly, I said, Kelly, I heard something. Don't go that way. Kelly! Funny. I used to remember torturing her. But it's fun to go there, and it's good to go in the summer. It's 55 degrees in the cave at all times. So the prison's going to close in 1827, move to go to the next one. That becomes the state prison of Connecticut in 1827. Where's that? Weathersfield Cove, right? That's the Department of Motor Vehicle, right? You should know this from the, still there? Same thing, yep. Some people think the Department of Motor Vehicle is a prison. But at the original Newgate prison, to keep it alive all these years, they have tanks go there sometimes for people to climb on. They've had bear cubs out there to pet and this and that. They used to hold dances there during World War II. All right, you go to the next one. Anybody ever ski here? Yeah, that's a Middlefield. We know it as Powder Ridge. It wasn't founded as Powder Ridge, it was founded as Powder Hill. But the Zamal brothers in New Haven, they owned a hardware store, and they really wanted to open a ski slope. So they went to Meriden, West Peak, and they were told no. They went to New Haven. They said, what about West Rock? They were told no. Why were they told no? They were avowed communists. They wanted to teach communism at their ski resort. They wanted people to come there. And so nobody wanted them. Middlefield was in the middle of nowhere then, so they said, sure, you can come here. And you go to the next one. So they had their tow rope started in 1959. Keep going. Keep going. That became very successful. Keep going. Keep going. So there used to be Powder Hill. It has all these things, ski shops, tobogganing, everything. All right, so 1970 comes along and they want more people. And they said, you know what? Last year, 1969 in New York, they had that great Woodstock Festival. So why don't we have a music festival here? And we can attract all these people to come, and then they'll come back and ski with us in the winter. So you can go to the next slide. So they get this great thing, July 31st, August 1st and 2nd, $20 for the whole weekend, not a bad deal. Look at these groups though. Sly and the Family Stone, Fleetwood Mac, James Taylor, Joe Cock, Allman Brothers, Jethro Tull, Janis Joplin, Chuck Berry. A lot of groups. I always laugh because I have no idea if there's a person or a group. Anybody know Chicken Shack? What kind of music would Chicken Shack be? I have no idea. But there's a lot of high-level people there. And they advertise across the United States, come to our great music festival. Tickets are now available in person in Manhattan. We want everybody to come to Middlefield to this great rock concert. All right, you go to the next one. 5 days before the concert, they started arriving. They called it the hippie invasion of Middlefield. They started bathing in the pond where they do the ski retention water. Camping out just anywhere they wanted to on the ski slopes. Go to the next one. And they said, oh, there's drugs flowing freely, there's sex, open sex everywhere, we can't have this. This town got really scared. And so 4 days before it was going to happen, they canceled it. You go to the next one, the people weren't happy. They destroyed a lot of their ski equipment, destroyed it, pulled it down, everything. Anybody remember that? I remember that. Yeah. And 1970. So you're going to destroy the ski slope. Then once they're going to open it up again and ski again, but then they're going to have a comm university. So you could ski, get free lessons in the communist doctrine of Karl Marx, and you'd get a 10% discount. because I really want to talk about that stuff.
So capitalism and communism.
That's right. That's about all it is combined. All right, you go to the next one. We just got a couple of quick ones to bust through here that are just fun stuff from the 1800s. That's Yale men dressed in drag, 1880. Dressing in drag was a big event on the weekends back in the day. They didn't even allow women to be enrolled in Yale, I don't think, until 1969. But that was way back in the 1880s. Keep going.
We have a very strong history in cross-dressing.
Oh, of course. You go to the next one, Bria. All right, what do they do with all orphans in New Haven? You get them pool tables. That gets them off the street. Keep going. In Hartford, what you do, you give them a field hockey. Boys field hockey at Cole Park for all the orphan kids. Keep going. This I never heard of or knew about until I did this talk. This is on Shingle Hill in West Haven. There are 15,000 spectators, and they're there to gamble on which car can make it to the top of the hill the fastest. Or could they make it to the top of the hill? That is all dirt roads, that is all dust going all over all the spectators, and they're going to gamble on which car, and a Rolls Royce one, by the way. And I never heard of this, but then I looked up more. In Worcester, Massachusetts, they would have 40,000 people in a weekend go watch these things. They're open on the entire East Coast in the early 1900s when cars and trucks first came into being. All right, you go to the next one. All right, you go to the next one. That's the Yale Regatta. Every year they had the regatta on the Thames River, Harvard against Yale. People would bring their yachts there. In the background, you see two trains. Those are passenger trains. And people come not because they just love the race, they come to gamble. Who's going to win the race? It was a big thing for the well-to-do people. People from Newport would drive their yachts over here to watch it, and this or that. All right, you go to the next one. We had fashion shows that the commuter trains going to New York for business in the morning. You could buy the outfits right before you got off the stop if you wanted to bring it home to your wife. Keep going. Oh, I just put this up here because I used to love this as a kid, do these 2- and 3-legged races. And Cromwell, they've outlawed them. You can't do them on field days at schools anymore because they think people are going to get hurt. But that's such a fun thing to me. And look at these ladies. So, 1913, they're all dressed up for a day at the beach, look so uncomfortable sitting in the sand. And those outfits, oh, they kill me. All right, you go to the next one. Tailgating at a Yale-Harvard football game. Notice they're all dressed up. Keep going. That is the football game sold every year. Keep going. This is in Hampton, Connecticut. I have no idea what this is. Some guy just dumped a bunch of concrete on some old cars for fun, and they charge money for people to go to it. That was used to be a big thing in the 1980s. I know. All right, you go to the next one. For all you engineers, builders out there, this is in East Hartford, Connecticut. It's built in 1926. In the background, this is the freight yards in the north end of Hartford. Look at all the boats on the river. What do you think that is a stadium for? What kind of stadium are we looking at? Huh? Gymnastics? Outdoor gymnastics? Before we answer that question, that only lasted 6 years because they got washed away in floods. So why they built right on the river, nobody can quite know. But that was called the Velodrome. Only lasted 6 years. Look at all the spectator seats they had there, though. So what would people come to watch? That's a lot of people. No car racing yet. Bicycle racing. Very good. Go to the next one. It's a bicycle racetrack. The Pope Bicycle Racetrack. Because Pope bicycles are out of Hartford. So they filled all those seats, people racing bicycle. Again, gambling. You gamble on the races. And bicycle, went out of style pretty soon after that anyway. All right, before we go to the next one, here's your next question. 1930, early 1930s America, there's a new fad catching on in America. Over 4 million people are doing this every night. So much so that people in East Orange, New Jersey, they decided 20,000 signatures outlawing it on Sunday because church attendance is being cut in half. Movie attendance slips, goes down across the country. What are we doing? What's our new fad, our new craze? Nope. Huh? 1930. Guy Lombardo, Fred Astaire, Mary Pickford, all these famous entertainers, they all have their own. Dancing, no dancing. And I bet it's something all of you have done once in your life. Video. It's a sport. Not baseball. Huh? Football, no. Tennis, not tennis. Basketball? How about? What kind of golf? Miniature golf. Keep going. Go to the next one. Old-time miniature golf. Miniature golf started in Scotland. St. Andrews, 1827, because they didn't think the woman could play on a man's course. So they came up with miniature golf for the ladies. Notice there's not much there. But that became so popular that what happened, you think miniature golf in the 1930s. Once it became very popular, then everybody started to do what? Started to gamble on it. Organized crime took it over. And when organized crime took it over, the popularity died, just like that. Boom. That was it. Keep going. Then in the 1950s, we're going to have a little bit of a resurrection here for two reasons. One, we're going to get the windmills going. Keep going. Keep going. Lighthouse is the Dock and Dine. It's going to be on the new medium television, right? It's going to become the second highest rated television sports of the 1950s. What was number one? I told you this before. Bowling, very good. Bowling was number one, and then came putt-putt. The putt-putt championships, just like the NCAA tournament today. Gambling, crazy on it. And so putt-putt becomes a big thing. All right, keep going. All right, I'm just going to buzz to the beaches here to finish this up. And then we'll be done. Ham and Acid opened in 1920. 75,000 people came to it. By 1925, 450,000 people a year were going to it. Keep going. This is a big overview shot of it from the 1930s. Yeah, the pavilion was big back then, huh? In the park there. All right, keep going. That is Meg's Point or whatever. They don't camp there as far as I know today. That's the east end. They camp now on the west end. But they all do individual, plots there. Set your tent up there and ready to go. All right, keep going. Keep going. That's the big thing. I love this next picture. Now, I don't know anywhere you can drive your car all the way up to the beach like this. I don't remember this. Now it's like they have the railroad going through like a rocky neck, whatever. You have to. Oops, I used to my microphone. But anyway, when we went to the beach, Melanie always had like the day off. She'd take the kids and run to the water, and I'd be like the mule, with the cooler and the chairs, the sand toys, this and that. And it seemed like you had to walk for 10 miles. But this right here, you drive right up to the beach and you're ready to go. That's kind of fun. All right, keep going. Big boardwalk there. Look at all the people there. It was a crowded thing. They averaged like 500,000 people a year. Up until like 2020, they were responsible for like a quarter of all state park attendance and a third of all revenue. All right, keep going. And that's what it's like today. All right, keep going to Rocky Neck. This is before it was a state park. It used to be a fertilizer factory there. They used the seaweed and the kelp to make fertilizer. And they used to have a building back here where they used to dry fish. Both burned down in the early 1900s. Keep going. That's from 1933. Rocky Neck's going to open in 1931. Why? Because Ham and Acid was being overrun and overcrowded. Look at all the people there. All right, keep going. And again, the beach is not big. The railroad's just gone through. There's not a lot happening there. That's Rocky Neck in its early years. All right, keep going. They're going to build the great castle there on the left in the 1930s, the Civilian Conservation Corps. All the fieldstone comes from Devil's Hop Yard. I know Melanie did a wedding here for somebody that I had to sit through not so long ago. So there's a lot of uses for that. All right, keep going. Parking lot back then, same as it is today, filled on a day like today. Notice everybody at the back end. That was the theory going back then. Keep going. And there's the pavilion that's today. Keep going. Keep going. What beach is that? Oh, I bet some of you have been there. It's not far from Rocky Neck. Nope, you gotta go a little further to the west. Soundview. Soundview opens in 1882. And people are gonna come down for the weekend, they're gonna make their own latrines on the beach, they're gonna dig holes. And they used to tent. Why did they go to Soundview? Go to the next slide. Stop on the railroad. Soundview stop. So you come from Hartford on the train. Get out, you're at the beach. All right, you keep going. Over the years, we're going to have Kittyland's going to open up. Has anybody here been to Soundview? Yes. This where Pelusos used to go every year, right? Go to the next one. Gonna have a little casino there. Go to the next one. You have to remember where's that? Who's the ice? Who makes the ice? Italian ice? Luigi's not Luigi. At Soundview, who? Vecchio's, somebody that. Go to the next one. I don't know how to pronounce it. Vecchio's. The big Italian ice place down there at Soundview. You go to the next one. 1925, they're going to open the carousel. 20 horses and 2 chariots. If anybody was on there and put their kids on there, if you reach up and grab the brass rings, you get a prize, right? You ever do that? You get a prize to do that. All right, keep going. Oh, where's that? That's a beach I didn't go to very much, but it averaged almost 450,000 people a year throughout the 40s, 50s, and 60s. That's New London, yep. Ocean Beach Park in New London. They have an Olympic swimming pool, big boardwalk, clock tower. Keep going. Look at that big boardwalk. The 38 hurricane wiped out the neighborhood there, so instead of rebuilding, they just made a beach out of it. Keep going. Keep going. Love that picture. Look at dancing underneath the clock tower, underneath the stars. All right, and right next to them was this last one. Go ahead. Where's that? Harkness. Ed and Mary Harkness are going to buy that house in 1907. It's their 7th home and their favorite. They're going to live there from May to September. He's named the 6th richest man in America. He gets all his money through the Rockefellers and Standard Oil. All that grass we see that looks all nice, that was a 9-hole golf course for him. In the bottom right is a water tower. Next to that was a carousel room that they used to bring the cars in and it'd spin them around like the railroad tracks do. There was squash courts there. There were showers there, a billiard room where you could smoke the cigars. Mary Harkness liked gardens. The one on this side was Italian flavored. This one was from the Far East. In 1920, she's going to open up Camp Harkness, where disabled children could have access to the sea. They're not big entertainers like they were at Newport. They might have the Rockefellers over, the Morgans over, but that's about it. Every year they have a yacht docked offshore, and the big purpose of that was to go to what? The Harvard Yale Regatta on the Thames River. And so that's Harkness. You go to the next one. It's called Iola, the Greek island of the winds, whatever. Home. That's one of the gardens. So is that Far East or Italian themed? I don't know my gardens. All right, keep going. And the last thing is the Essex Railroad. Ever been on the Essex Railroad today? It opened 1871, Hartford to Old Saybrook. 45 miles, 15 stops. And so in 1971, 100 years to the date when it opened for real, the commercial one opened, the kids one opened, this and that. You go to the next one, get on the boat, keep going. Keep going. These are all Cromwell pictures of the Cromwell train station. Stop it. Keep going. That's Main Street Cromwell. Keep going. Yep, Cromwell. Keep going. And now we know it is the Polar Express. All right? And that's all I got. All right? We can do that one, right? We can end with this. Oh, that's the postlude. That's the postal, right? That's too big on the Farmington River, Satan's Kingdom. The railroad people call that Satan's Kingdom because they had a hard time blasting the Rockaway to make the railroad. Just so you know, the only person who yawned it was my wife back there was yawning through the whole thing. Everybody else was pretty good though. Thank you for coming. I appreciate you coming. It's always fun to talk history. Yeah. I'm glad to meet you. I've told my sister I met you today here. I will. Yeah. Definitely.